Hello and welcome to the Transcend and Succeed podcast, a unique platform dedicated to the exploration of taboo topics that often go unspoken in the realms of spiritual development and personal experience. I'm your host, Dawn Livingston, and I want to provide you with knowledge to help you change your perception and open your mind to new possibilities and new opportunities for spiritual expansion, personal growth, and profound transformation. In a world where certain subjects are often shrouded in silence, I believe in fostering candid and open discussions about the uncharted territories of our inner worlds. My guests will have had extraordinary experiences and will share their insights and journeys, inviting you to embrace the unexplored aspects of your own existence, both physical and non-physical. Join us on this illuminating and enlightening journey as we challenge taboos and empower you to transcend limitations and truly succeed in your spiritual and personal evolution. Welcome to the Transcend and Succeed podcast. And in this episode, we're back with Patricia Kennedy, the lovely Patricia Kennedy. It's lovely to see you again.
Love to see you too.
We are going to talk today about awareness and synchronicity. And when I suggested this to Patricia this morning, she went, I have got a lot to say about synchronicity. She doesn't like the word, so she's going to talk to us about that in a little bit. But first, as a lead-in to why we're talking about awareness and synchronicities, I think it's important for you to understand how Patricia and I got together. You know, we've been friends for quite a while. But several years ago, we were both in the same bunch of classes. I think it spanned over, a year, 2 years, something like that. Patricia was taking these classes that I had already taken. I was there in a support capacity, helping the newbies, I suppose, that were learning this modality and helping them out and guiding them in different, Zoom rooms, etc. And Patricia and I ended up in the same Zoom room on multiple occasions, most days, I seem to remember. And we just gelled and we got on super, super well. And we started calling each other and talking about different things and we became friends. So what I wanted to say about my understanding of synchronicity is that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And this has been exactly what Patricia has been to me. She's been like my mentor in different things. She's taken me to a whole new level on several different subjects, and it's been great. But there's been one I wanted to give you an example about. Probably about a year ago, maybe 9 months ago or so, I had been messaging Patricia in the mornings when I've had some really weird dreams. Wait till I tell you about my dream last night. Oh my goodness, this happened and this was really weird and it's going to take me ages to work all this out. She was totally instrumental in helping me change my perspective about one thing. She said, maybe you're not dreaming. Have you ever considered that you're having an out-of-body experience? She says, because that's what it feels like to me. And then you introduced me to a couple of books. You introduced me to William Buhlman of the Monroe Institute, I think. Is that correct?
I think he was a part of Monroe Institute, but definitely I recommended Monroe Institute.
Yeah. So you had recommended that I read 2 books of his, which I did. And that opened up everything to me about this out-of-body experience that people would probably call a malarkey. I read his books and understand, although he had a different experience, the concept of it was exactly what I was having. The fluttering in the ears and all these different things. It was super exciting. And that just set me off on a whole new level. So I've got Patricia to thank for that. And me, I would consider that to be like a synchronicity. Because I needed to take that step up, Patricia was called in to help boost me up to that next level. Would you agree? Well, you would agree, but go on then. Tell us what you think about synchronicities. It's interesting.
Well, synchronicities is there's a misunderstanding around it in that we can't connect the dots to the source of it. So I would say that everything happens through your true self.
Mhm.
And that even though it appears that I showed up to sort of make a suggestion, to you, which helped to open you up to the possibility. And when you explored that, everything opened up and revealed itself to you that, oh my gosh, I have not been dreaming. I have been having out of body experiences. She was totally right. I was not the source of that information. I received that from my higher self to tell you to make the suggestion to you, right? So I don't think they're really synchronicities any more than I believe in miracles, because I believe that all comes from self or source, if you will, creator. And it happens when the person's ready. It can't happen too soon. So there is that element of proper timing, right timing. And I have this, because of who I am, the ability to be able to serve in that capacity as a mentor to other people who are ready for new awareness and understanding. So I think what's so beautiful about that is the books helped you to resonate and go, yes, that's exactly what's been happening. And then it reframed your consciousness
Oh, it
to
sure
be able to
did.
accept more.
And I have to say, it didn't just open me up to the opportunity, it smacked me in the back of the head with it was so, so profound. And it was just like I was waiting for something because I had been, I suppose, just stuck. I felt like that's the only word I can use. I just felt
Yes,
stuck. Like you said earlier, you were running on a treadmill and you're not getting anywhere. That was really how I felt about life. And this information that you gave me, and after I read the two books and started documenting everything, that just gave me a whole new purpose, for my self development, and my inner understanding, my inner knowing of what's truly been going on. And I've actually been able to, I suppose, progress it a little bit with his exercises and tips and techniques to actually instigate it on myself. And I've managed to do that a few times, which has been amazing. Um, but it has really given me a real insight as to what is above physicality. Seriously, we think this is all there is. How naive are we? And then once you
right,
have that experience, you can't unsee it. You can't unexperience it. It's with you.
right.
It's inside, it's in your cells, it's in your bones, it's your inner knowing. And because you've experienced that, it's truth for you.
Yes. And what's so amazing about that is once you have the experience, doesn't matter how much the appearance of how much time goes by, you can always revisit it in a new now moment. Unless you can bring it right into this now, and you're in that experience because it's in the fabric of who you are. It's a part of you,
Mhm.
you know. I was going to say something else, but sort of like got taken away. It'll come back later, but
Well,
I think
welcome
that's
to my world.
fascinating.
It's close.
Well, sometimes I'm going to say something. I was going to say something else, and then I wanted to make sure I mentioned what I just mentioned because that was important too.
Mhm.
We If we don't know that there's more, we think that's all there is.
Mhm.
And then when someone comes and makes a suggestion, what the suggestion does is open us up to the potential possibility. Oh, this is what I was going to say. We all come hardwired.
Yes.
We And those of us who are aware that we've existed in many lifetimes and incarnations know that we've maybe been masters at doing certain things in different lifetimes. So we own that too. But if we don't start to explore, like in your example, out of body experiences, we're never going to have that, what I call the quickening,
Mhm.
where all of your gifts come into this now and then open up, and then you find out, wow, that was so easy. Why was it so easy? Because you could do it many, many times before.
Yeah.
It's inside of us. We have to put the effort into the action in order to bring it. It's not going to just fall from the sky, you know? And so you've done that, and you're you have so many more gifts, you know? It's like, where will this take you?
Mhm. I
Where
know it's
has your gift
exciting.
taken you to?
Where has it taken me? Yes. Yeah,
Well,
because
that's my question to you.
yeah, well, where has it taken? It's taken me to different planets. I remember different planets, but it's my from what I remember of them right now, without rereading what I've documented, it's
Tunnels.
definitely not in this world. Definitely not in this world. Um, I have been in my own, well, I would say my physical reality. I felt like I was in this house, but the window was in a different place. So I know that it's not this reality. There's subtle differences. So I know it's an alternative reality that I'm in, and it's probably not too far off the physical because I could feel things when I was touching them. So I know there's
Yeah.
different dimensions and there's endless numbers of dimensions that you can appear in. But I still believe it's about your state of mind. It's about what you're thinking. It's about what's going on in your subconscious that will take you to that place. I really still believe that at the minute. I haven't come across any journey like that hasn't allowed me to believe that. But I think the levels of conscious awareness within these travels differs greatly. Because sometimes I can go with it and never think about asking questions or asking for clarity, nothing like that. Other times I feel like I'm wide awake and I'm actually in there when I know I'm not. It's very, very strange. So I still have a lot of things to work out and a lot of things to learn. But it's exciting. And what it's done, that realization, after you told me that and I read the books, it was like it gave me a whole new purpose. I had my mojo back because I was feeling pretty flat, as you know. But it was just a really exciting thing that it was a big pick me up that I had learned something that was different, that probably wasn't accepted and agreed upon by many people in this reality. But I didn't care because I had been there, I had experienced it, and it's true. It's 100% true. So,
And you know what? It
yeah.
it benefits and influences your ability to work with clients because now you have this new information that reframes the reality or realities in general.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's only unfamiliar when you don't think you have a relationship with it. But the minute you start to have a relationship, which we would justify with the experience, like when
Mhm.
I experience something, I know I did it. I know it happened,
Yeah.
and so I call it, I own that. That's part of me. But that's good. That's good because everything helps you to be a stronger, more effective and more profound facilitator and healing and teaching and all of that. So it's so important. And if we don't go looking, if you
That's
didn't share with me, maybe you shared with somebody else instead, you'd still be thinking you were having these colorful dreams and trying
yeah.
to figure out your dreams.
Well, that's right. And I think immediately when you wake up in the morning and you remember some bits and pieces, everybody thinks that that's a dream. You've been in the dream state. So I'm so appreciative that you have opened me up to something different. Because my dreams were getting boring. They were so symbolic and crazy. I was like, I can't even be
that's
bothered to even think about
that's
working that
funny.
out. Yeah. Did I tell you
I
the
rem-
one that was kind of recently? And I don't think this was an out of body experience because if it was, I'm in trouble. Where I was on the outside of a double decker bus and I was holding on for grim death by my fingernails. And and I was on the side of the oncoming traffic. I mean, talk about living life dangerously. And I was holding on to a Dyson vacuum cleaner and a lawnmower whilst I was holding on to the side of this bus for grim death. What on earth is that how I feel about life? I don't think it was an out of body experience, but crazy
Or maybe
dreams.
that's how they do things in one alternate reality. I mean,
Yeah,
who
maybe.
knows?
Yeah.
I always just ask, is it this or is it that? I'll get that guidance. So, we have that ability to find out if I was dreaming, was that a dream? Or maybe what we think are dreams, and maybe even what we think is astral traveling is really out of body also. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
The only way
explain
you're
to
going
us
to
the
sort all
difference.
that out.
Explain to us the difference, right? Because I kind of was of the understanding that you're either in body or you're out of body. Where's this astral thing? How does it differ from the out
Okay.
of body?
The best way to explain it is that you are the spirit. You're the holy divine spirit that is interfacing. I use that like a skizzy board in a computer. It plugs in. So we plug into this physical body, right? But we're not this body. I know people have heard that before. You're not the body because you are the Holy Spirit, that being, that holy being.
Mhm.
And you can leave on what's called the silver cord. So when you sleep at night, you give the body time to come into homeostasis, and then you follow that cord and you leave. Okay. So you could actually go to other star systems. You could just play. We'll call it play. You could play in the astral realm. Well, the astral realm is the fourth dimension. And the astral realm is where people are like us, but they're not in a physical form, but they still have like their what would you call it, like the halo, the ghost part of it, so they're disembodied, but the image of who they were in this life, those people are still there. So we can be there and travel around in there and have experiences there. But if we're capable, we can go beyond. So if we're able to go beyond, we'll go anywhere. So do you call that astral travel? Do you call that out of body? I think that is something that each individual has to sort out for themselves. And I really think it's helpful that when people start to have those experiences that you ask to do, we talked about this, ask for it to be lucid,
Yeah.
which means you're consciously aware when you're having it. So in the dream state, you can have lucid dreams. Same to transfer that to lucid and aware astral travel and lucid and aware out of body experiences.
I like what you did there. You put that back in everybody's court to decide for themselves what they think. And that's absolutely right, because again, it comes back to, it comes back to resonance, doesn't it? What resonates with you? Because the astral traveling thing doesn't really resonate that much with me, but the out of body sure does. So that's how it is
Yes.
for me based on my experience. So there is no right or wrong. I think it's important to emphasize that there is no right or wrong. It's what's right for you. And just
Right.
go, like Patricia says, go with your guidance, see what sits well with you. And if that's the case, then that's the right way. There is no right or wrong.
And it's not a one size fits all. You may evolve. You might think it's one thing now when you're starting out, but as you evolve, you'll get the guidance and the knowing and what I call the downloads that it really was something a little more, but you weren't ready to know that then. And so you'll evolve in your awareness. People are talking about remote viewing. I think that people who are psychic and intuitive are remote viewing all the time. I think that's a fancy new label that the military gave to something that people have been doing constantly. When you and I were working on a client and we're getting information about that person, I believe that in a sense, we could be remote viewing. If we see inside their body, that's a remote view. There's also accessing the records. The Akashic records were constantly accessing. When we hear about a past life, oh, well, in this lifetime, this happened. We're accessing the records, but we're not consciously going to the records. The records are just coming through us.
Coming to us,
So
yeah. Mhm.
yeah, so when you go within and you ask for your own inner guidance, it's the right guidance for you in that moment, but it's not a like permanent, that's all there is. It's keep asking those kinds of questions, because as you evolve, your information and ability to know more is going to evolve, and that's why what somebody thought 25 years ago or was shown 25 years ago, if they asked those same questions and made that same inner inquiry, they might get a whole different
Mhm.
set of understanding, a whole new level of awareness, because we're constantly tapping into this is the explanation for that. As your consciousness raises, you're at a higher frequency, and so the range on that radio that we talked about last time, you're going to a higher and higher level of frequency and vibration, and so there's going to be more information that's going to come in for you. And as you keep, let's say you stabilize at that higher level and you keep then going even to higher and higher levels, you're constantly accessing higher aspects of yourself. because you're in all places at once.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe in ascension because I believe that the toe of us is here,
Yeah.
but the head of us is way up there, with source. That's my belief. That's my awareness, I would call it. And so my being can go anywhere and grab information and bring it back. And I believe that's true for everybody. I believe that if people really put the time and the work into communicating within themselves and make that the source of their information, they would find that all they got to do is ask for it and the information comes. You just in the beginning might have to wait a little longer for it, like a couple days. But synchronicity, you might go into a bookstore and a book might fall off the shelf in front of you and you pick it up and go, oh my goodness, this is exactly what I've been looking for, or you might have a conversation, right, with a person, and the person might say to you, hey, have you thought that maybe that's not a dream? It's really an out-of-body experience. Voila, that's exactly what I needed to hear in this exact moment in time. Or you're on the internet and something comes by and it just happens to be what you're like, wow, that's really interesting. I've been wondering about that. Where is that all coming from? I believe it's coming from your totality of yourself. That's saying, okay, let me guide you. I'm going to use Patricia to tell you, Dawn, that maybe you might want to look into this.
Yeah, because we're ready to receive, we're ready to take that next step in, I suppose, our spiritual evolution, I mean, whether we're in physical form or not. But I suppose that kind of begs a quick question about how does religion view this? Because my understanding is that I think Christianity, they don't believe there's anything other than physical, I think that's the way it
Well,
is.
I think
How does religions?
if you go to the hidden books, like the books that got removed when they rewrote the Bible, the King James version, there was the how do you say Acropathia?
That's what I think. I mean, all these New Testaments, what happened to the original one? Where's that? Like, can we
Well,
not
they took
see
books
that?
out of the Old Testament and they took books out of the New Testament. They took out whatever they didn't want us to be aware of. But there's a lot of discussions about Enoch. The book of Enoch was removed. Why? Because he talks about extraterrestrials, contact with other life forms, which could have been his own origin that he was communicating with, right? But we go, oh, they're aliens, they're extraterrestrials, we must be afraid. No, make the unfamiliar familiar, But yeah, the idea of being spirit is something that's beyond you because you're supposed to be the sinner. They don't want you to know, well, you're that too, When I know one time I was told by myself, my inner knowing, that before impact happens, the soul, the soul that you are, the being, the energetic spirit jumps out of the body and only stays connected by that silver cord. So if you're getting ready to be in a car accident, it jumps out because it doesn't experience pain. It lets the body do it, and then it'll stay outside until the body, it has gone through enough, and then it'll come fully back in, but it'll stay out. Death, it leaves before death occurs. It doesn't have the experience. It lets the body do it. So how does it do that? It does that stays hardwired connected through that silver cord. And then after about 7 to 14 days, whatever the timeline is, the soul will completely unplug from the body. The body then turns back into dust, and the soul returns back to its creator, its true source. That's the intention. That's the intention. We'll leave that there for another discussion on another day. But yeah, the intention is that then the spirit goes back and then regroups and decides where they want to play the next time, so to speak. But I think that if you dig enough, sort of like Greg Braden has done a lot of digging, he's gone to a lot of libraries. Libraries that they don't let anybody in, and he's gotten access to information that you don't find in print anywhere. So they obviously have been hiding things. But when you're connected psychically and intuitively, you can start posing those questions to yourself and asking yourself for information. And I encourage people to write everything down. Write your question down, and when you get your answer, write that down. Because when you put pen to paper, you're working with all levels of yourself, and you sort of like anchor that knowing in,
Mhm.
But I don't think there's really anything for us to be afraid of except for the fear that has been instilled itself, how they've made us afraid of us being in our natural state. Out of body
Yeah.
is a natural state,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's who you are. But if people don't head down that road to investigate that, it's sort of like the scary noise in the closet. If you don't finally open up to find out what that scary noise is, you'll be afraid of that closet forever.
Oh, I
You
like
know,
how you put that. That was clever. That's really good. I'm gonna steal that as well.
that came from above.
There you go.
The ability to be able to say something pertinent that everybody can understand, to connect dots and know, when when you're afraid of something, a tiger's getting ready to charge you, or someone's pointing a gun at your face, that's real fear. That's the body saying, oh my gosh, you're in trouble. But
Mhm.
when it's coming from the mind or the emotions or some story you tell yourself, that's not real.
Well, it's conditioning, isn't it? The fear that's out there. It's all conditioning. We've got it all the time. Look at the news. Look at what's going on in the news. That's all we get. All the negativity. The wars, the fighting. There's a
Mhm.
X number of people killed today. X number of people killed tomorrow, and it just makes us fearful. And it's only fearful if we accept it. But if we're open to understanding that it is just, I don't want to use the word propaganda, but it's just put out there to keep you in fear so that I suppose we don't investigate the
Right.
true cause, or what is that distracting us from? What else is going on in the world? Because we only see what we're fed, really, but there isn't anything else. I think there's more and more truth coming out now, which is lovely to see, and people really
Yes.
not giving us stuff, basically. So that's encouraging. It's very slow, but it's encouraging.
Yeah. And it's sort of like we're told, don't put your hand on that stove, you'll get burned.
Mm.
And even though you don't know what a burn is, you're told as a young child, well, that will hurt really badly. So you don't want to do that. Or don't jump in the deep end, you'll drown. What does that mean? You'll die. Oh, okay. I don't want to do that. So you're programmed to listen to the fear and not move forward from the fear, but that's coming from someone else. That's the programming of it, rather than your own being going up. Don't do that. Because I don't know, Dawn, have you ever had your being stop you, like warn you? I have.
Yes, uh-huh. And now you mention it, it's not been screaming in my head, don't do that, don't touch that. I don't know, it's just you pull your hand away from something, or you don't take that step because you're walking along looking at your phone or something like that. You don't step on a faulty grate that's on the pavement because you could go through it, or you would go through it and it cause you injury. I don't know what it is. It's just something. It's amazing, isn't it? Mm.
Yes, it is. How about muscle testing? When you go into a health food store and you're looking for a supplement and they tell you put it by your heart, and if you lean towards it, it's good for you. And if you lean away from it, don't put it back on the shelf. That's your being telling you whether or not there's a frequency match
Mhm.
that's positive or negative for you. Have you ever gone and hugged somebody and all of a sudden your body goes, oh, I
Oh,
don't know?
yes.
Or you walk in a room and you
You walk in
go,
a
don't
room.
go to that corner of the room. There's
Mhm.
somebody or something there. Even when you're not aware, you get the goosies, the
Mhm.
hair standing on end. That's your being telling you, it's trying to communicate to you.
Mhm.
So we're hardwired for that. I hate to keep using that term, but we're hardwired for that. That is authentic. And it's authentic because it's a communication that's coming from within yourself
It's
to guide
internally,
you
yeah.
towards or away from things. That's better than, oh, you shouldn't try to connect with your psychic senses because that means you're connecting to Satan or to whatever.
Mhm.
Maybe you should ask first. I don't
Yeah.
care if you ask with a pendulum or you do muscle testing or whatever your training wheels are, in the beginning.
Yeah, learn
You
to
should
use the
ask
body to
you.
understand. Yeah, to understand because the information will come in different ways, and based on something that you had suggested to me about a year ago as well, you know, train the information to affect your body in a certain way. So, I thought that was a fantastic idea. So what I did was I asked that any positive response to a question or a situation that I was asking about be given to me in goosebumps, like goosebumps on my head or on my arms, you know, whatever, but a nice feeling, so that I would understand that that was positive. And anything that was a negative or a no go response for me, I wanted them to give me that heavy sinking feeling in my solar plexus. That was what I specifically asked for. And it took a little bit of time, but that's what I
Mhm.
get. That is what I
Yes.
get because that's what I've asked for because I've learned to open myself up to actually feel in the body when I'm asking questions so that I understand the responses I'm getting. So yeah,
Yeah.
it takes
And then
time.
you don't, yeah, and then you don't have an outside instrument. You become the instrument. You become the pendulum. You become the whatever,
Go with
the
the gut.
rods, whatever. And the idea that we can set up an agreement with our own self, how we're going to communicate, how I and my being want to communicate, and how I'm going to know what I'm getting in the beginning may just be based on yes, no, but it's a huge start because before, if you're not communicating with yourself,
Mhm.
you're asking everybody else, read cards for me, do a psychic reading, do a this reading. You're letting other people be your higher power.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
You at some point you have to say, okay, I'm going to start making myself my higher power and seeing what myself tells me,
Yeah.
because it may not be what the other person is picking up on, because they're picking up on whatever their conscious awareness level is. And maybe you're higher evolved being than them and you'll get more or different.
Mm. Get different
I know
information.
somebody who is experiencing high heart palpitations and high blood pressure. And by normal medical standards, she should be in surgery. But when she communicates with her higher self, they tell her, no, you do not need meds. No, you do not need surgery. No, you do not need to go to the doctor.
Mhm.
You just keep asking questions. So they're using that to get her attention. This individual is a female, is still asking questions, hasn't gotten to the crux, to the point of what all this is, but they could have gone and had procedures done and gotten on heart meds and all this stuff if they did what everybody else does. So having that connection with self and knowing when you're in trouble, when you're not in trouble is priceless. It's priceless.
Mhm. Yeah, it does because you're not allowing any external influence to, well, influence your decision. It's coming from a place of inner knowing and feeling that that is resonance, basically resonance.
Yes.
If you, and I use this all the time, if you resonate with something, that's your gut feel, go with it. Yeah.
So can we quickly define what that is from an experiencer level? Because I think that people misunderstand what that term means. Does that resonate with you? I know it did with me when I was first starting out. It was like, oh yeah, like it sounds like a good idea type of resonance. But it wasn't like what resonance, what that really means. So let me ask you to define it from your standpoint.
Resonance.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
What do you mean by that?
Resonance, it's like a frequency. It's about something that you feel in your body that feels good. It's
Yeah.
something that feels good. It feels right. It feels correct. Um, anything, I mean, resonance is still something that doesn't feel good, but you can tell the difference. You know the difference. Is that what you were thinking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I
Okay.
don't think people understand. You could say that's clairsentience,
Mhm.
which is the ability to be able to feel vibrations and frequencies and pick
Yeah.
up that subtle information. But I think there's a lot of people that come from the, oh, yeah, it sounds like a great idea. I think that would be good for me without really knowing whether or not they have any guidance one way or another.
Yeah, they're
And to me,
thinking with their
resonance,
head and not feeling in their
yes,
body, yeah. And
yes,
the feeling is It's our innate ability, really, to help us with our day-to-day choices. But what we're choosing to do, for the most part, is try and think logically, and we also take into account the opinions of others about the way we should do things.
Right, right. And when we're, all the books, all of the history books, all of the medical books, all the this, that, and the other books, we make them the higher power by accepting what they've put in print rather than listening what's inside of us.
Yeah.
And if we would take the time to just ask ourselves questions, ourself will respond, as soon as it can. I mean, it might have to build the ability for you to hear what it's going to tell you, but it's going to answer you if you're ready for the answer. And if you're not ready for the answer, they're going to give you some answer that'll kind of like get you off that path for a while or whatever, but you'll get information. And that's what I think all these things that we talked about a minute ago, the book falling off the shelf, a person suggesting something, we think they're synchronicities, but there's actually a source from where that's coming. And I believe it's our own being.
Mm-hmm.
I don't influence another person unless they're giving me the urging, the suggestion. If somebody comes to work with me and they're not ready to work with me, I'm told not to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not timing. And you'll start to get to know who you're more in alignment with, which means resonate more on that frequency range, and who you don't. And you'll learn to move away from the people you'll leave them on the fringe. You won't cut them off.
Mm-hmm.
You'll still maybe, relate to them in life, but you're not going to keep them close to you. You're going to keep the people there's an exchange that you're giving and you're receiving and giving on both ends. It's not just one way. And those are the people you'll keep close. And then as your radio frequency gets higher, maybe you'll drop them and go on to somebody else, It's awesome. We are guided to take the path that is right for us.
Mm-hmm.
So some people might make or take the religious path. So I'll define that like the Christian path or the Hebrew Jewish path.
That's what I was trying to get at earlier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or the I don't even know what Iran is. What is that? I forget. But
maybe
Muhammad
Muslim.
path.
I'm not sure.
Muhammad
I'm not up
path.
in my religions.
Yeah, I think they go the Allah and Muhammad path.
Okay.
Some people go the Buddhist path. Some people go the Hindu path through yoga and Sanatan dharmas or different dharmas and Sanskrit texts and things like that. And other people might go the ascension path, and some people might go the new age path. I'm sure there's people who are going the Lucifer path or whatever you want to call that, but they're all paths. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is the being knows where they need to go. And sometimes they might head towards the dark and then beeline over to the light before they stay in the light, or on the right path. But where does every path take them if they stay on it long enough? To themselves, to their own connection, to the source that created them, to the real truth. So it doesn't matter if one person is gaining their information from Christianity and another person is getting it, let's say, from Ascension, whatever. Everybody's right where they need to be. And if there was a saying that was said to me years ago, as long as you keep digging deep holes, you'll find water. Mm-hmm. But if you keep digging little holes, you'll never reach water. So it's like if you keep changing, then you're going to be frustrated and disillusioned. But if you keep, if your path is to find yourself and you keep digging for that, no matter how you do it, you're still looking for that connection to self. You'll dig a really deep hole and you'll reach water. You'll achieve that.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It's funny. This is.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I'm saying, to me, when you were describing that, persistence came to mind, because basically it's the same destination that we all got. We're just all
Yeah.
taking different paths and different routes. Mm-hmm.
And your being is guiding you. You're not coming up with that idea, oh, I think I'll take Reiki. No, your being is pushing you towards it, maybe bringing people that will encourage you and influence you to do that. No. Yoga, we think we're getting on a mat and we're praying to some deity in the pantheon of India, and you're not. You're supposed to be bowing to yourself. But people don't know that because they buy the outer shell, like they buy the coconut with the hard shell on it, and they never break it into the inside to get to the milk and the meat, the fruit. So you just have to keep going and keep asking. And everything that you ask yourself is what's guiding you to where you're arriving at,
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important. It's so important.
Trust your inner knowing. Mm-hmm. Your inner guidance.
The other day I had somebody, actually I had this conversation with my sister. If you don't move into action, it doesn't just show up.
That's right. You've got to take the steps, don't you? Yeah.
You got to participate and you got to be engaged.
Yeah.
Because there's a part of you that has to be desiring, moving towards it. And people just think that they can just sit there and sit in meditation and everything is just going to be given to you without even asking a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to take the steps to move forward, take actions to actually help yourself to attract it and actually bring it to you. Yeah, we were talking about that. I can't remember who was I talking to on the podcast. And we were talking about manifestation, and it was about I came up with the example of if you want a new car, you can't just, okay, I want a new car and visualize this new car. You've actually got to do something and take steps to actually get it, and to enable you to manifest this physical feeling, from the heart, the magnetic, what's going to draw it to you. You've got to go and have a look at the car, take a test drive, get really excited about it, and then that's going to really emphasize that energy that you're putting out there. So it's more likely to come to you a bit quicker,
Creating that magnetic effect, because everything you're doing is communicating here to the higher self. So if you say, I want a new car, but you don't do anything to get that new car, your higher self is sitting down there going, well, not bad enough. You don't want that bad enough because you're not willing to fight for it. If you don't fight for it, in other words, you really don't put in the effort and the time, it's not going to come easily. You have to really want that saying. You have to want it like you want your last breath.
Yeah.
You've got to really be serious. And your being knows when you're really serious and when you're not. Can't fool yourself.
Yes.
It knows the truth.
I know it does. Just I could talk to you for ages, and here we are. We're nearly 45 minutes, and we could talk forever. But listen, promise me you'll come back and talk a little bit more, because I want to talk about the out of body experiences in a little bit more detail if you're up for that.
Definitely.
Okay,
I think people need to hear. They need to hear from the experiencers.
Yeah,
and you're one.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Okay, well, let's leave it there. I want to say thank you. That was a fantastic conversation.
Thank you.
Again. Love you lots like jelly tots.
Love you too.
And I will see you soon.
All right. If not in the ethers.
Yes, absolutely. Have a great one. Have a good weekend. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Thank you so much for your time and attention today. If you found this discussion engaging, show your love by liking and subscribing. Don't keep it a secret, tell your friends. Join us next week for more daring conversations on taboo topics that need to be explored. So until then, be safe, have fun, and keep expanding.